I'm a Michigan football fan right now. I'm a little bit concerned, especially when it comes to quarterback recruiting. While the Wolverines have had some good quarterbacks, they've truly missed out on an elite player that can take them to that national championship level. Yeah, they got to the playoff last year, but Cade McNamara's experience showed, and they need that guy who can take them all the way and put up huge numbers. Unfortunately, they haven't had that, and they missed out on a guy who should be that dude, and we don't even know how they missed out on him. His grandfather was a legendary coach at Michigan, but instead of choosing to play for the Wolverines, he decided the program was not in good enough a spot and decided to commit to Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Yes, we're talking about quarterback CJ Carr, and I know I'm a little bit late to it, but in today's video we're going to talk about who he is, his recruiting process, and what this means for Michigan football moving forwards. Also, congrats to Notre Dame and Freeman on landing this kid, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we talk about CJ Carr, let's first talk about some Michigan quarterbacks and bring you up to speed onto why this is such a big letdown. At the turn of the decade, guys such as Denard Robinson and Devin Gardner took over the program when head coach Brady Hoke was there. Those guys had an insane ceiling, were a highlight play waiting to happen, and seemingly were the guys that could bring them to the top. Unfortunately, we saw both of them have up and down moments, and the rest of the roster and team wasn't good enough, so Michigan could never break through. After that, we started getting to more of the game manager quarterbacks. The first one was Jake Rudock. He was a transfer from Iowa, and while he was good, he was never going to bring them to the top. After that, Harbaugh's first big quarterback was Wilton Speight. He was very similar to Rudock, as he was just a glorified game manager, and while they did almost make the playoff in 2016, some could think that Speight is a reason why they couldn't get there. After that, they brought in a guy who on paper should have changed it all, but was honestly very underwhelming. That guy was Shea Patterson. Him and Jacob Eason were the top two quarterbacks in the class of 2016, and after a pretty good freshman year for the Ole Miss Rebels, Patterson decided to enter the portal after Ole Miss was in some hot water. He decided to transfer to Michigan, where he was given a waiver to play right away, and some people think that was nuts, but he got it nevertheless, and took over as a starter from 2018 to 2019. To be honest, Patterson was a little bit disappointing, as he was nothing more than a glorified game manager as well. Maybe, finally going into 2020, they could find that guy who could bring him back. There was a quarterback battle between Dylan McCaffrey and Joe Milton, and we saw McCaffrey enter the portal and leave for Northern Colorado, giving the job to Joe Milton. This guy was praised as the next Cam Newton coming out of high school, and this dude actually had a high ceiling. I was so incredibly excited to watch him play, but as we all know, he was not very good. He struggled a lot and ended up getting benched midway through the season in favor of Cade McNamara. What is McNamara? He's a great player, but he's once again a game manager. He doesn't have the highest ceiling in the world, but he's going to play smart and he's going to manage the game. That is exactly what would happen, as he did bring some stability to that quarterback room, but ultimately, he didn't really raise Michigan's ceiling that much. That's why going into 2021, some thought the highly recruited JJ McCarthy could take over. Instead, it didn't happen. McNamara didn't really do a whole lot throughout the year, but he wasn't bad either. He was efficient, won games, and got them to the college football playoff, proving that Michigan had the system to win. But on the biggest stage, the quarterback flaws showed as they ended up getting exposed by Georgia. Going into 2022, some think that McNamara is not the guy for the job and that McCarthy should play. McCarthy is a human highlight reel, is a tenacious worker, and has shown flashes of brilliance so far, so I'm honestly wondering if he's going to get his opportunity soon. That, I don't know. When we take a look at their quarterbacks for the future, they don't have anyone really that big time signed, so that's why CJ Carr was going to be a home run and a slam dunk commit. I mean, his dad was Lloyd Carr. Lloyd Carr is a very familiar face to Michigan fans and was a great coach. In his time at Michigan, he went 122-40. He finished with an 81-23 mark in the Big Ten Conference, and in 13 years, he never missed a bowl, and in 12 of those 13 years, they were ranked at one point. That is pretty ridiculous, but after the Appalachian State debacle in 2007, it seemed like Carr's time was running out, and he eventually decided to retire, allowing Rich Rodriguez to come in. So yeah, there was mixed feelings at the end of the Lloyd Carr era, but I don't think Lloyd Carr had bad feelings towards Michigan. At least I can't really speak for him, but you would think that his grandson would also love Michigan. Now we get to talk about him. CJ Carr has been one of the top up-and-coming quarterback recruits for the last few years now, and because of his grandpa, he's been under the microscope and the spotlight for a while. Add in the fact that both of his parents attended Michigan and he lives in the state, It makes no sense why he did not go to Michigan. In case you did not know, CJ Carr did not end up committing to the Wolverines, as he chose the Fighting Irish and the hot up-and-coming coach of Marcus Freeman. One writer on The Athletic had this to say, and he was shocked. Quote, "When Michigan finally got over the hump and smacked Ohio State last year before winning the Big Ten title, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to change the program's trajectory. I thought there was a chance Jim Harbaugh and his staff could have used the Ohio State win as a testimony of what can be accomplished at Michigan, something that could have had a profound impact on the Wolverines' marketability and recruiting services. That still could be the case, but the events that unfolded after the season have not inspired much hope that Michigan is going to turn the corner as a recruiting juggernaut anytime soon. Many people blame that on the fact that Jim Harbaugh was flirting with NFL jobs, and it showed to recruits and other people that he was maybe not fully committed to actually being there. I never thought Harbaugh would actually leave, but this seems to be something that could come back to haunt them. But just because Carr is a Michigan legacy doesn't mean that it's Jim Harbaugh's fault. In fact, there's probably a good chance that Carr did not want to be in the same spotlight or shadow as his dad and grandfather and wanted to make his own path. Maybe he was sold on Marcus Freeman, maybe he also grew up idolizing Notre Dame, that I don't know, but some people think that all the blame should not be on Jim Harbaugh and that this could actually be better for them. While Carr is obviously a great talent, this opens the door for Dante Moore. In case you aren't familiar with him, he's another 5-star recruit from the city of Detroit, and many thought he was going to go to Notre Dame. Now it looks like Michigan could have an opportunity to seal his talent and keep him home. I'm not quite sure if that's going to happen, but if Dante Moore ends up being more talented than Carr, then Harbaugh is going to look like a genius instead of a fool. So as we take a look at Carr, he's been a pretty big deal for quite a while now, as he goes to Saline High School in Michigan, which is located near Ann Arbor, and he started right away as a freshman in high school. He received his first scholarship offer from Michigan and Michigan State, and this would happen right after the last game of his freshman year. His father didn't actually tell him about that Michigan offer initially and tried to let his son finish out the year, but once Michigan State offered, he informed him of both of the scholarships. Since then, his stock has not only taken off, but he's become one of the hottest names in the 2024 class. For a while now, people have actually been linking him to Notre Dame, and many have questioned how Harbaugh did not pull this guy in. But it seems like Carr had other ideas. He said, quote, "I've been telling my family I'm going to Notre Dame since last spring. This past Sunday on a visit is when I really told my dad that there was no chance for anyone else. I'm going to Notre Dame." He said he really didn't start taking the recruiting process seriously till after his sophomore year, as he took multiple visits across the Midwest and the Big Ten, and it always seemed he was going to end up being a Big Ten quarterback. He said, quote, "I took some spring visits, and really after my spring visits, I knew I wanted to go to Notre Dame. My dad had me hold off a little bit longer so I could see all that's out there and really get all the opportunities that were presented. But after my last camp at Notre Dame, we were supposed to go down south, and I was like, Dad, I know where I want to go, and he ended up letting me commit." So just how good is Carr? Well, he's been a starter the last 2 years, and he has the size, the arm, and the potential to be a great quarterback, which is why he's a 5-star. According to 24/7 Sports, Carr is a 5-star recruit, the number 5 quarterback, and the 20th overall player in the class of 2024. Yeah, we're already talking about 2024 kids, and while some may think there's a chance Michigan could get back in it, just because there's a lot of time doesn't mean anything, and I think he's pretty much locked into Notre Dame, and I don't see anything changing. I think it is a little bit crazy that Harbaugh let this kid get away, but it does seem like Carr wanted to do his own thing, and you can't blame him. I don't think you can fully blame Harbaugh or Michigan for this, and while it is probably a little bit annoying, and some may be very concerned, I think Harbaugh will find the right quarterback for his system, and if he lands Dante Moore, honestly, no one's even going to care. But what do you guys think? If you're a Michigan or a Notre Dame fan, what do you think of the CJ Carr commitment? How does it affect the Irish, and how does it affect the Wolverines? What are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh and the quarterback situation, and what are your thoughts on both programs moving forward? Be sure to let me know down below, subscribe if you are new, smash that like button, give me another topic I can take a look at next, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.